Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wadduha, sadaqallahu mawlana al-azim. وبلغنا رسوله النبي الأمين الكريم، ونحن على ما قال ربنا من الشاهدين وعلى ما أوجب وألزم غير جاحدين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. بعد الحمد والصلاة رونق محفل صاحب صدر حضرت خواجہ قبلہ پیر صاحب صوفی محمد اصغر اسلمی صاحب دامت برکات العالیہ و دیگر سامعین و تمکین خلفاء و سامعین حضرات. Time is short, and this is a blessed gathering of Milad Sharif and Ishal Sawab. Hazrat Janab Haji Muhammad Saftar Sahab, most beautiful personality of St. Taif, mashallah, and most loving as well, most caring, without any doubt. Some might disagree, but this is my opinion. So he, alhamdulillah, arranged this for Ishal Sawab of his wife, Marhuma, and Marhum son as well, Dr. Sabr Hussain Sahab. We make dua, Allah makes this a source of the reward inshallah in the hereafter, and grant them blessing of dhikr of Aqa alayhi salatu salam. How beautiful this practice is to arrange such gatherings for Ishal Sawab of your beloved subhanAllah. And just before me you heard a beautiful khitab from Allama Sahib in Urdu, mashallah, very comprehensive khitab, in which he mentioned about Ishal Sawab and blessing of the gatherings of dhikr of Milad as well, subhanAllah. But the main purpose of these gatherings, my brothers, is to develop that connection with Aqa alayhi salatu salam. And the more dhikr you do of Aqa alayhi salatu salam, the more love increases. So that's the main thing, and you increase your love by coming to this gathering. MashaAllah, you heard a beautiful naat as well. These are the things that increase your love. You dhikr of Aqa alayhi salatu salam, dhikr of Allah Ta'ala in the various forms. All of this should increase the love. If that's not increasing the love and your life is not changing because of that, then you're not getting the benefit of these gatherings. But I'm sure inshallah you will take something from this gathering as well, that you will have that connection revived with Aqa alayhi salatu salam. And the verse I recited, Wadduha, just one verse, Allah Ta'ala remembers the qasam of the blessed face of Aqa alayhi salatu salam. That's what I'm going to talk about in a short time, inshallah ta'ala. The beauty of Aqa alayhi salam is a great mu'jiza of Almighty Allah. Every aspect of the life of Aqa alayhi salatu salam was great and miracle in itself. But the beauty of Aqa alayhi salam is such that it was never seen before and after Aqa alayhi salatu salam. And this is what many Sahaba Kiram they mentioned as well. So beauty itself is a complex thing to mention. It's an abstract thing, concept, that you cannot simply mention this in words. Words cannot be enough to completely explain the beauty. Poets have tried for centuries to explain the beauty, but they haven't succeeded. They use metaphors, they use different types of, you can say, figurative language, but they fail to completely explain the actual beauty, the essence of the beauty. Beauty can only be understood by the vision, and only those who see and the hearts, they interpret that, only they can understand what beauty is. And this is how all those Sahaba Kiram who tried to explain the beauty of Aqa alayhi salam, they expressed their inability to explain that, subhanAllah. Because Sarkar's beauty was such that it was matchless. So much that even if there's a description of beauty of Hazrat Sayyidina Yusuf, a prophet of Almighty Allah, he was meant to be most beautiful creation of Allah Ta'ala. and even his beauty, in the story of his beauty is mentioned Surah Yusuf in detail, but that's not the topic. But his beauty was meant to be most beautiful, but Sarkar said that my brother Yusuf was asbah, and he had sweet beauty. Allah Ta'ala granted me, made me amlah, and he made me salty. Amlah, milh simply means salt, but that's the texture of my beauty, and that's the way I was created. So I am amlah. But Ala Hazrat says, what's the definition of that? And he says that Yusuf is sabih, and he is sabih. But what does it mean? He says sabih means that his beauty is sweet. And when you utilize the sweet, anything sweet, very very quickly you satiate it. And very quickly you feel full. And after looking at the sweet beauty, after some time you would don't feel the need of looking at that. But the beauty of Aqal is malih. Yani you look at that and you will never want to turn away from that. That's the blessing, that's the greatness and beauty of Aqal salam. And many narrations there are from many Sahaba Kiram. Sayyidina Anas bin Malik narrates that Lam ara qablahu wala ba'dahu mithla. He was so beautiful that no one has seen anyone more beautiful than him before him or after him as well. That the Barra bin Azib also mentions that his beauty was such that as if the moon was flowing in the blessed face of Aqal salam. So everyone tried to explain according to their understanding. Abu Hurairah said that as if the sun would be moving in the blessed face of Aqal salam. This means that his beauty wasn't such a beauty that would remain the same. Sun is flowing, that means it would continuously change. So every time you would look at the face of Aqal salam, that would appear different, subhanAllah. That was another aspect of miracle of the beauty of Aqal salam, that whoever would look at the face of Aqal salam, even the Sahaba Kiram who would sit in the company for majority of the times, they would keep looking at the blessed face, and they would still say that every time we would look at the face of Aqal salam, it would have a new dimension, subhanAllah. So the beauty would keep increasing and changing all the time, subhanAllah. That was the great miracle of Aqal salam. And the poets, when they talk about beauty, sometimes they would, at the topmost level, they would talk about the eyes of someone they consider beautiful. So eyes are meant to be at the topmost level of the beauty. Then you have the hair, the facial aspects and facial expressions, and the body and the feet, and then deeper down, the heart and the nature of a person is something which makes him beautiful. But even deepest level, you could say that somebody who has angelic nature, and the beauty of the soul is something that makes him beautiful. So these are different dimensions of beauty that you can try to explain the beauty from. But what if one creation of Allah Ta'ala is such that from every dimension he is perfect, subhanAllah. Whichever the dimension you look at him, and whichever the body part you look at, that's extraordinary, and none like none like himself, subhanAllah. So that was the blessed seerah of Aqal salam, that his beauty was such that every Sahabi, even the great Sayyidina Ali, who was Madinatul Ilm, he's Babi Madinatul Ilm, the door of the city of knowledge. Even he expresses that I am unable to explain the beauty of Aqal salam. So this was the level of the blessed face and beauty of Aqal salam, that even Allah Ta'ala says, وَالضُّحَى. Allah Ta'ala remembers the Qasam Sharif of the blessed face of Aqal salam. وَالضُّحَى, by the blessed face which was like the dawn, subhanAllah. So Allah Hazrat says in his poetry, कि कुछ तो है, there is something कि Quran, गर्चे है Quran, the मिश्र Quran, लेकिन although the blessed face of Aqal is neither Quran Sharif, neither it is like Quran, लेकिन कुछ तो है जिस पे है मद वो मद है निगारे आरिस. There is something that the Quran is also praising the beauty of Aqal salam. And he says कि वो कमाल हुस्न हुजूर है, ये गुमान नक्श जहां नहीं, ये फूल खार से दूर है, यही शम्मा है कि धुआं नहीं. The beauty of Aqal salam is such that there is no element of any defect, worldly defect. There is no even doubt of Goman means there is doubt. There is no even doubt of a Goman, any defect, the worldly defect. And this flower is completely away from all the thorns, subhanAllah. And he shamma hai ke dhuan nahi. This flame is such that there is no dhuan from this flame, subhanAllah. no smoke coming out. And he says, Mere saar tere kalam par, looking at the beauty of the speech of Aqal Salam, he says, Mere saar tere kalam par, meri yun to kisko zabaan nahi, that let me be sacrificed on your kalam ya Rasulullah. Who did not get the tongue? Yani all the human beings were granted the ability to speak, but your sukhan is such, wo sukhan hai jisme sakhun na ho. Your speech is such that there is no defect in that ya Rasulullah. Wo bayan hai jiska bayan nahi. And your speech, the way you talk ya Rasulullah, no one can express that in words. And wo bayan hai jiska bayan nahi. That's why even the great Sahaba Kiram, they expressed the inability to completely understand the blessed beauty and explain its words. And Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu ta'ala who mentions, we can't talk about this beauty of Aqal without mentioning two statements. One is of Sayyidina Jabir, and second from Sayyidina Hazrat Ma'bad. Inshallah, come to both. Hazrat Jabir says, I came across Aqal Salam in the blessed court of Aqal Salam in a night of full moon. Moon was full and most beautiful state. And I came to Aqal Salam. Aqal Salam had hulla, yani red garment over Aqal Salam, and he was sitting outside. And I would look towards the moon, and then I would look towards the blessed face of Aqal Salam. So I started thinking, which is more beautiful? Sometime I would look towards the moon and then look towards the blessed face of Aqal Salam. And soon my iman reminded me, what are you doing, Jabir? What are you up to? You're comparing the blessed face of Aqal to the moon? There's no comparison whatsoever. The blessed face of the beloved is much better in every way. And that is what Al-Hazrat says in his kalam, and a recent shair done tazmeen, beautiful tazmeen on that. He says, Chandni raat mein Jabir ka nazara dekhe, Chand ko wo to kabhi aapka chehra dekhe, keh uthe dekh ke wo bhi यही जुमला देखे कि तेरे कदमों में जो है गैर का मुँह क्या देखे, कौन नजरों पे चढ़े देख के तलवा तेरा, कौन नजरों पे चढ़े देख के तलवा तेरा. And on the occasion of Hijrah, the very few descriptions of Aqal that are found in Hadith Sharif, one of that is from Hazrat Ma'bad. And Hazrat Ma'bad, Sayyidina, when Hazrat Aqal Salam left for the Hijrah, and they had Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq accompanying him, and also Amir bin Fuhaira, the Ghulam of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, and one more person who was guiding on the path. When they went to the house of Ma'bad, the husband had already taken the herd and all the sheep and goats out, and there was only one sheep in the house, which was he wasn't able to give any milk, and so it was left out from other herd. And so Hazrat Aqal Salam went inside and asked Ma'bad if there's anything to eat, because they were traveling for long and they were feeling hungry at that time. So Sarkar asked for some milk, and they saw the sheep there, and she said there's nothing in the house, and my husband has already gone with all the goats and sheep as well, so there's only one sheep, but we are unable to take any milk from that. Sarkar got closer to the sheep and simply placed his blessed hand on the sheep. And the narration of Tirmidhi Sharif, that when Sarkar placed the hand on that, the sheep moved, and in a way that the hoarders were filled with milk. Sarkar filled pots after pots with the milk, and they gave to all the companions, and they drank themselves. Then they left milk in the house as well. But then they left. Ma'bad says, I forgot to even ask the name of Aqal. I was so overjoyed as well, and awestruck when I looked at the best face of Aqal that I couldn't even ask the name of Aqal. And all of a sudden, husband comes back. He looks at the beauty and nur in the house, and also fragrance of Aqal, and he sees that boats are filled with the milk. He asks, what's happened here? I only left one sheep then, and all the ghanam was with me. What happened? That your pots are filled with milk. She said, there was a Mubarak person who came. She forgot the name, she didn't know the name. She said, only a Mubarak came. A Mubarak came, whose beauty was such, she explained the beauty now. He was Zahir al-Wada'ati. He had a very striking countenance. And Hasan al-Wajhi. He had a beautiful face as well, subhanAllah. And beautiful creation. And she says, whenever he would come from the far, it would appear that he is the most beautiful creation. When he came closer, he was even more beautiful, subhanAllah. And subhanAllah, she said that he would speak in a way that as if you'd see that the words are pearls in a string, subhanAllah. And Nazmatun, Khadaratun, also in his kalam there was no excessiveness, no boring speech, and not too long, not too short. And the way his blessed neck was, subhanAllah, this was most beautiful as well. So every aspect of the creation she explained that this was most beautiful, subhanAllah. And if you looked at the face of Pakistan, that was like the moon in the sky, subhanAllah. And so every aspect, and you looked at the companions, they were most beautiful, they were most respecting, and they were listening to his speech, and they were honoring him as well. And she says that there's no words to explain that. And this is what Allah himself says in his kalam, ki Rukh din hai ya mehle sama, ye bhi nahi, wo bhi nahi. If you look at the blessed face of Aqa Islam, whether you compare that to the day or the sun, you would be unable to explain that. Ye bhi nahi, wo bhi nahi. Shab zulf ya charkhe duta, ye bhi nahi, wo bhi nahi. Bulbul ne gul unko kaha, Qumri ne sarve jaan fiza, aur hayrat ne jhanjla kar kaha, ye bhi nahi, wo bhi nahi. Time is short, lives can be spent, but we can't explain the beauty of Aqa Islam, like a stability to understand and establish a connection of love with Aqa Islam.